Hey guys, it is Christian here, and today I'm going to be doing a recap of CinemaCon, which was just this week. We had a lot of big panels for Sony, Warner Brothers, Universal, Amazon MGM, Paramount, Disney, a lot of big news, and this is about a lot of the big stuff that happened. So before I get to this, please like, subscribe, and tell me what you think of this live stream. I tried to do this one time, but it crashed. So I'm gonna try again, and hopefully it works. Yeah, hopefully. So we're gonna start with Sony because that was the first one that happened, and we got some interesting stuff from them. Um, so yeah, the first thing we're gonna talk about is Spider-Man: Brand New Day. Unsurprised. Unsurprisingly, Spider-Man was the biggest star of the night, just as he was at Sony's presentation last year. While Tom Holland wasn't on hand in person, Sony showcased a pre-recorded hologram of him to introduce a new look at Spider-Man: Brand New Day. In the extended clip, we see Peter following Ned, who of course doesn't remember Ned, has become obsessed with discovering Spider-Man's identity. Peter then meets MJ and discovers she has a boy action set pieces that look pretty stunning, including a clip of Peter's eye turning black. While there weren't many new revelations, this continued to build hype for what Hong called the most emotional entry yet. We'll find out if that's true when. Yeah, I cannot wait for Spider-Man. I think the trailer was really good. Some of the CGI looks a little bit rough, but I think the story looks super interesting. It looks like everything Spider-Man fans wanted it to be after the ending of No Way Home. Peter's now in this very lonely place in his life. All he has is the Spider-Man persona now, because everyone has obviously forgotten who Peter Parker is. But yeah, this looks like the street level Spider-Man that everyone wanted from the beginning. Following No Way Home, they're bringing a lot of other characters: Scorpion, Punisher, Hulk. So there will still be other heroes in it, but I think this still looks very street level and could possibly be the best Tom Holland Spider-Man movie. We'll see. Doubt it's going to be the best Spider-Man movie in general because there's obviously like the Spider-Verse films as well as like the Raimi films. But yeah, I'm really excited about this one. So yeah. Next one's another Spider-Man one. And speaking of Spider-Verse, we got some more cool stuff. Funny enough, the most emotional entry yet is exactly how Phil, Chris Miller, Bob Persichetti, and Justin K. Thompson described their trilogy capping Spider-Man Beyond the Spider-Verse, which hits theaters June 18, 2027. The filmmakers took the stage to talk about the progress of the long-delayed animated film. One of the most interesting revelations is that their movie will be in the 1.431 aspect ratio, which is more square, giving it this very distinct look for a mainstream superhero animated flick. They unveiled a new look at the movie in which R. Miles, still tied up from the last film, confronts evil Miles, now the Prowler. The teaser showcased bursts of action from across the film, underscoring how detailed and boundary-pushing the animation remains. We're still over a year away from this release, but the wait may very well be worth it. And I think it will be. I cannot wait for Spider-Man Beyond the Spider-Verse. They also release images that look stunning. I think this could be the best Spider-Verse movie. And I think the Spider-Verse movies are among the best Spider-Man movies of all time, actually. Obviously, Into the Spider-Verse and Across the Spider-Verse are so amazing. And I fully expect this one to be amazing as well. And cap off this trilogy. So yeah, I cannot wait for Across the Spider-Verse, Beyond the Spider-Verse. It is definitely my most anticipated film for next year as of this day. And I cannot wait to see the animation, but it's gonna look phenomenal. So yeah. Next up, Resident Evil. Fresh off a shockingly successful awards run for Weapons, Zach Kreger arrived at CinemaCon to talk about his new adaptation of Resident Evil, which comes out September 18th. He says he's played a crapload of Resident Evil games over the years and that they're so naturally cinematic. Kreger says he wanted to capture the spirit of the games, especially their pacing. We saw the first trailer in which Austin Abrams from Weapons plays a delivery man on the run. The trailer was really light on the story, but made up for it in vibes. The trailer is incredibly tense and builds to the final shot with Abrams running nearly the entire time. Even as someone with no history with the Resident Evil games, I can't wait to see more. And interestingly, the Resident Evil games don't have the best, track record. I mean, the Resident Evil movies don't have the best track record. Obviously, with the Paul W.S. Anderson and Mia Jovovich ones, as well as the most recent Welcome to Raccoon City one, but they just can't really seem to get it right. But if there is anyone to get it right, it is Zach Kreger, obviously hot off of directing Weapons as well as directing Barbarian. So yeah, I cannot wait to see this Resident Evil movie when it comes out in September. That's not the only video game adaptation on the horizon for Sony. President Adam Bergerman announced that Westball's The Legend of Zelda film has just wrapped production, though they didn't show any photos or footage from the film. Westball directed Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, as well as the Maze Runner movies. He also announced that a new R-rated animated adaptation of Bloodborne is now in development at Sony. I think Jacksepticeye is involved with that one, actually. This was light on details, but a big swing nonetheless. And finally, a Helldivers adaptation is in the works from director Justin Lin and star Jason Momoa. Justin Lin, I think, directed some of the Fast and Furious films. Don't really have too many expectations on either of these. The Zelda movie comes out May of 2027, so that should be interesting. Wait, is it May? Yeah, I think it is. Yeah, Zelda May 7th, 2027. So yeah, it could be good. I like what Westball did with the Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. This article also talks about the anime, the Sony anime that they've been doing. Last year, they had successes with Demon Slayer, Kimetsu no Yaiba, the movie Infinity Castle, and Chainsaw Man, Rise Arc, and they announced another one with The Time I Got Reincarcerated as a Slime, the movie, Tears of the Azure Sea, coming out later this month. Yeah, these anime movies, I'm not the target audience for them. They make a lot of money at the box office. They're huge movies, and they have a huge fan base. We also got a new film coming out from Godzilla -1 director Takashi Yamazaki. It says, while Takashi Yamazaki is busy wrapping up Godzilla -0 to debut later this year, prepping his English language debut for Sony, Grand Gear. We got a very quick teaser that didn't show much, but it did feature giant robots fighting with swords in the middle of a city. That sounds awesome right there. I don't think we need much more to sell audiences on the film, which will end in 2028. Yeah, that sounds awesome. Miyazaki did a great job with Godzilla 1. He's directing Godzilla -0, which comes out this year. The teaser came out for that one, and it looks awesome. It has Godzilla with the Statue of Liberty. How cool is that? And then he has his English language debut, Grand Gear, coming out in 2028. So he's on a roll there. All right. A couple of highly anticipated book adaptations were highlighted during Sony's presentation. First, Dakota and Elle Fanning sent in a video from the set of The Nightingale, an adaptation of Kristen Hanna's World War II set novel. The sisters are producing and starring together in the film for the first time. They say the film is a tribute to the resilient spirit and will capture the heart of the novel. The Nightingale comes out February 2027. Uh, uh, February 12th. First trailer for Taika Waititi's Clara and the Sun, an adaptation of Kazuo Ishiguro's novel. He wrote Living, that novel, which was turned into a Bill Nye movie. Jenna Ortega stars as a robot hired by Amy Adams' character to be an artificial friend who discovers the world, friendship, and connection for the first time. It looks bright, colorful, and very silly, and you can very much feel Waititi's fingerprints on it. It hits theaters on October 23rd of this year. Taika Waititi, he used to be big, he used to be well respected, directing Hunt for the Wilder People, Thor Ragnarok. He won an Oscar for Jojo Rabbit. But I think ever since Thor: Love and Thunder, he's kind of been on a low streak, because obviously after that he did Next Goal Wins, which wasn't that well received. Also, Amy Adams has also been on kind of a bad streak. She hasn't really been in a well-received film in a while, since maybe Arrival. She did get an Oscar nomination for Vice. I guess that was kind of her last one, I guess. But I hope it's good. But Taika Waititi's kind of been on a low streak recently. But October 23rd is when it comes out. Next, we have Social Reckoning. Sony's lone, thus far, awards contender for 2026 got a moment to shine as writer-director Aaron Sorkin took the stage to talk about The Social Reckoning, the companion piece to 2010's The Social Network. Sorkin described this new film as a real David and Goliath story, as it centers on whistleblower Francis Haugen, played by Mikey Madison, taking on Facebook, and Mark Zuckerberg, this time played by Jeremy Strong. We got a teaser that looks solid and ends on the first film's iconic Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross score. But Strong's performance is certainly a major departure from Jesse Eisenberg's take on Zuckerberg. Frankly, from the short trailer we saw, it felt more like a Saturday Night Live impersonation more than a real human. Very tense and short. We'll have to see if the full film shows more layers from Strong when it comes out this October. My expectations for this aren't really there yet, because do we really need another Social Network film? But maybe it could be good. I heard Jeremy Strong's doing a Roy Kent type thing that's his character from Succession. He's kind of playing Roy Kent when he's playing Mark Zuckerberg. But yeah, could be interesting. Yeah, hopefully it's good. Finally, Jack Black, Dwayne Johnson, and Kevin Hart came out to tease their final outing, and Jumanji was the most fun he's had ever making a movie. And they clearly kept the fun going on stage, where Hart kept insulting Johnson, saying Johnson is drunk as hell right now. They said that each of them plays 3 different characters in the film, a huge challenge. Next, they introduced the first trailer for Jumanji Open World, which shows Lamar Morris as a repairman who attempts to fix an old video game console but accidentally unleashes the game into the real world. It looks big and fun, right in line with the last 2 films, and comes out on Christmas Day. It sounds fun. The first 2, Welcome to the Jungle and the Next Level, those were fun, especially Welcome to the Jungle. The second one, they had the avatars, they had different people playing as the avatars, they had Danny DeVito and Danny Glover in it. But then it was in the first movie that they had these teens as the avatars. Dwayne Johnson, Jack Black, Kevin Hart, and Karen Gillan are the avatars. They had teens playing them. But in the second film, they all played different, they all chose different characters, and when they went into the game. So because of that, I think that group dynamic from the first one was a little not really as present, but This one, it seems like they're taking it, instead of them getting sucked into the game is going into the real world. It sounds a lot like what they did with Tron Ares, where they brought the game into the real world as opposed to the characters getting sucked into the game. But hopefully it's fun. I think it could be fun. But The Rock's movies have been a little bit like slop. No, that's not the right word. Like generic, I would say generic. He did just have the Smashing Machine though. Jack Black's obviously hot off of Minecraft and Super Mario Galaxy. And then Kevin Hart. I haven't seen him in much recently, but yeah, I think this could be good. We'll see. That's it for Sony. They did. Sony, they did have a trailer for the new Insidious film, which comes out in August. I don't know why we're still doing those Insidious movies, but they did release a trailer for that. Not mentioned here, but let's move on to Warner Brothers. Last panel I was talking about before my first stream crashed. Hopefully we'll get further this time. Hopefully to the end. Huge year last year with Sinners, one battle after another, which won Best Picture. Weapons, they had that. They had the Minecraft movie. Yeah, they had a lot of stuff last year, a lot of big movies, and most of them well received. Obviously, Warner Brothers is in a lot of the news recently because Paramount and Warner Brothers are likely going to do a merger. Hopefully not. There's like a petition going out that trying to block the merger. Hopefully it doesn't go through. I think it probably will, but hopefully if it does, like Warner Brothers will still exist as a studio, and Warner Brothers and Paramount will just be two studios operating under the same umbrella, as opposed to them just being Paramount. Okay, let's talk about what all this cool stuff they had. Pam Abdi and announced that they're going to have an independent studio called Clockwork. And their first movie under Clockwork is going to be the new Sean Baker film, Ti Amo, which releases in 2027. Sean Baker is obviously a huge director. He just won 4 Oscars for Nora. Directed Tangerine, Florida Project, Red Rocket. So he's a big name in the independent film world. And now he's going to have a new film under Clockwork, Warner Brothers' new independent film style. I wonder if this is going to be like their new awards, distributor. Kind of like what Searchlight is to 20th Century and what Focus Features is to Universal, which we'll talk about after this. But yeah. Next we have Digger, the new Tom Cruise movie, directed by Alejandro Iñárritu. So continuing the trend of auteur voices, Alejandro Iñárritu and Tom Cruise took to the stage to discuss Digger. Iñárritu praised Cruise's fearlessness throughout his career and says that portraying the main character of this film, Digger Rockwell, was another kind of fearless. Cruise described the film as wild and very funny, while the pair discussed their shared belief in filming Digger for premium format screens to prioritize the theatrical experience. Yeah, I think they filmed this on VistaVision, just like they did with One Battle After Another. They showed an extended first look of the film, giving us our clearest view yet of Cruise's character. He's loaded up with really convincing old age makeup and a chubby suit, playing Rockwell as a conceited rich man who discovers something that can save the world. This truly feels like the first time in ages we've seen Cruise truly sink his teeth into a character, and it's refreshing. The teaser was light on story, but felt like a Doctor Strangelove style satire with a huge scope. Emmanuel Lubezki's wide, sweeping cinematography was on full display, If Inuyasha can stick the landing this October 2nd to be exact, this could hit big with the Academy. I think it could, but I'll go into that when I do my first Oscar predictions after Cannes, so around June probably. And this movie sounds kind of strange, but I think it could be an amazing type of strange. I think it sounds really interesting. I'm excited for it. Inarritu's obviously directed Birdman, The Revenant, Babel, Bardo, Beautiful with Javier Bardem. He's directed a lot of films, and this seems like it could be very funny, but also a little bit on the stranger side. But strange can be good. I mean, I love a lot of Yorgos Lanthimos' movies like Poor Things, and that movie's definitely strange, but it's still great nonetheless. Next, he talks about a new sci-fi and horror films. WB turned toward the science fiction and horror genres next. They showed a new trailer for David Robert Mitchell's The End of Oak Street, which hits theaters August 14th, though it didn't reveal much beyond the previously released one. Still, mixing in dinosaurs to this mysterious film looks incredibly unique. I think the first trailer for it reminded me of old Spielberg, like his Close Encounters, E.T., and Jurassic Park days. I had to mention Jurassic Park because of the dinosaurs, but it reminds me of that. Then next came a trailer for Evil Dead Burn, which looks gory and gross. That comes out July 10th. And they showed the trailer for that in front of Lee Cronin's The Mummy, which comes out this weekend. Obviously didn't see the trailer yet, but I'm assuming it's probably going to hit online in a few days. They did also announce, I don't know if this article goes later in depth into this, but they're doing another Evil Dead film after this called Evil Dead Wrath, which is directed by Sam Raimi, who obviously directed the first Evil Dead film. Could be interesting. No, it's interesting that they debuted this trailer in front of Lee Cronin's The Mummy, because Lee Cronin directed the last Evil Dead film before Evil Dead Burn called Evil Dead Rise, which is interesting. And then they also saw an extended scene from Mortal Kombat 2. Admittedly, Mortal Kombat isn't really my thing, as even the fight scene between Johnny Cage, played by Carl Urban, and Baraka, played by CJ Bloomfield, didn't really do much for me. The first Mortal Kombat that they released in 2021 wasn't really that great, but then this one they're bringing in Johnny Cage. I don't have too much interest in it, although I do think it could be better than the first one. We'll see though. Ooh, next Cat in the Hat. Yay. Taking quite a different turn from there, Thing 1 and Thing 2 from the Cat in the Hat ran out on stage. Wait, there wasn't a Thing 2. The trailer didn't show a Thing 2. Anyway, I digressed. Where presentation host Patton Oswalt corralled them and invited the entire audience to pull out a package from their seats to reveal Thing wigs for everyone. Yay. Naturally, this meant that a new extended trailer for The Cat in the Hat was up next. Starring Bill Hader, this is the first film from the relaunched Warner Brothers Animation. To honor the occasion, WB also unveiled the first look at Warner Brothers Animation's new animated logo, which will precede its films. Tweety Bird is the first character you see, while the iconic WB Studios and Water Tower are enveloped in paint. It's beautiful, and it feels like it honors the WB legacy. As for Cat in the Hat, the trailers aren't fully working for me yet, and this new extended look didn't change that. I still feel as though it's lacking the true imagination and whimsy that a Dr. Seuss adaptation should have. We'll see if that's the case when The Cat in the Hat releases on November 6th. I thought the first trailer for this was garbage. I mean, can't even sugarcoat it. It looks so bad. Not funny at all. Some of the animation, like some of it looks nice. Like it looks colorful. But then the Thing designs look awful. They look like AI art, the Thing designs. It seems like they're taking the story of The Cat in the Hat and they're making a new story out of the original story. Bill Hader, his voice seems kind of annoying. Like, this movie just doesn't look good to me. And that's why it was supposed to come out in February of this year, but they pushed it back all the way to November. That's not a good sign, I don't think. To have to push it back that far. But we'll see. Maybe it could come out and it could be a masterpiece. Who knows? Next is DC. Peter Safran took the stage next to showcase the 2 DC Studios films this year. First up was the first ever look at Clayface, the horror film from director James Watkins, written by Mike Flanagan and Hossein Amini. James Watkins directed the Speak No Evil movie from 2 years ago, James McAvoy, and then Mike Flanagan's obviously done a lot of work. The trailer opens with Matt Hagen, played by Tom Rhys Harries, lying in a hospital bed, face almost entirely wrapped in bandages. His wide-open eyes are sad and horrifying, and any bits of skin we can see appear to be bloody. In account with this shot are only brief flashes from the film, but the teaser ended with a healed Matt lying in a bathtub. He rubs his hands on his face, and all his features smudge as if made from clay. Get it? Yeah, I do. Slight on story, but heavily on creepy vibes. The teaser for Clayface did its job. That sounds really interesting. It sounds like it's a more character-driven DC film. I saw someone compare it to the Joker. Joker was obviously very Scorsese inspired by his movies like Taxi Driver and King of Comedy. Clayface, I think, comes out either September or October. Pulling up the date right now. Clayface, October 23rd. Okay. Sounds creepy. Can be interesting. I think it's a horror film. So, yeah. Next, Millie Alcock, Jason Momoa, and director Craig Gillespie came out to introduce Supergirl. Gillespie emphasized the galactic nature of this film, which he says takes place largely off Earth, spanning 6 different planets, and that Alcock had to learn lines in 5 different alien languages. The extended sequence they showed backed that up, showing Kara confronting raiders on a space bus. The sequence felt heavily reminiscent of Guardians of the Galaxy, but that's not a bad thing. Supergirl releases on June 26th. Supergirl does look it looks like a James Gunn film. I think it looks a lot like Guardians of the Galaxy, but it could be good. I actually it looks pretty good. Yeah, I think that's pretty much all I'd say. So for DC, they only showed those 2. I don't think they show much of anything else. Next year, they're probably going to have a huge presentation for the Man of Tomorrow, which is basically Superman 2. But we'll see. Is that it? No, that's not it. In a major nostalgia play, Sandra Bullock and Nicole Kidman came out on stage, bantering and bickering as they teased Practical Magic 2. Directed by Suzanne Bier, this long-awaited sequel returns to the Owen sisters 25 years after the events of the first film. Bullock and Kidman joked about the relentless calls from fans to get a sequel, which is why they finally returned to the story. Well, the story should excite fans. The best part of the presentation was Bullock gloating Kidman into reciting her famous AMC lines. We come to this place for magic. How fitting, especially with this crowd on movie theater owners and exhibitors. Don't really have much expectations for Practical Magic 2. Haven't seen the first one, but hopefully fans of the original like it. This comes out next the new J.J. Abrams movie, actually. Like classic Spielberg. Oh, of course I knew this shouldn't be it because they haven't talked about doing it yet. Hold on. Yeah. Anyway, we're going to talk about The Great Beyond. J.J. Abrams arrived next to talk about his new film, The Great Beyond. This is only Abrams' second original film of his career, following Super 8 and his legendary run of franchise films. He said the film took a long time to develop because of the extensive world building, but that he longed to reconnect to that spirit of adventure of adventure you have when you're a kid. In a cool comparison, he said he kept thinking about having a giant coffee table book full of the biggest and coolest concepts in the history of cinema, sitting right next to a family's photo album, and wanting to blend the energies of both. The trailer kept the mystery intact, opening close on an old PC typing out an H.G. Wells quote about the existence of other worlds just out of sight. We get glimpses of Glenn Powell and Jenna Ortega's characters, along with text that beckoned us to step into the great beyond. Even though it didn't really reveal what the film is actually about, it's clear that Powell's character will be venturing into another world. The footage shot for this has put it at the top of my list for most anticipated films of the year. It arrives on November 13th. Yeah, that sounds interesting. Sounds cool. I think a lot of people, again, just like Taika Waititi, I think J.J. Abrams has a lot of bad will against him because he obviously directed The Rise of Skywalker. But a lot of people love his other original film, Super 8. I think this one sounds really cool. I'm not really going to let the fact that he directed one of the worst blockbusters of all time factor in anything and make it seem like he can't direct any more movies, because he obviously can. Let me guess, the next one, yeah. Finally, a huge group of Fremen arrived in the Colosseum, who parted to make way for director Denis Villeneuve here to unveil the first 7 minutes of Dune Part 3. Villeneuve said that with this final film, he didn't want to walk in his own footsteps, approaching this much more as a dark thriller than the previous films. He said he made the first 2 films for himself, but this third would be for the fans. Timothée Chalamet, Zendaya, and Jason Momoa all joined their director on stage and praised his visionary direction, with Chalamet saying, "It's the honor of my life to be working with the one." Dune Part 3 opens with Javier Bardem's Stilgar leading a Fremen army to fight on a distant planet. They land on a beach and are immediately attacked. This feels like Villeneuve's version of the Saving Private Ryan Omaha beach sequence, with a visceral feeling of relentless pummeling. The action was intense and brutal, much more so than the previous entries in the franchise. We only got this brief taste of the film, but it's sure to be a smash hit when the epic conclusion hits theaters on December 18th. Yeah, Dune Part 3 is one of my most anticipated movies of the year. I think it looks awesome. The first trailer is amazing. Cannot wait to see this movie. Comes out on the same day as another film, which we're absolutely going to be talking about later on when we talk about our final panel here. Wrapping things up for Warner Brothers, Michael DeLuca and Abdi returned to the stage with one final teaser for their 2027 slate and beyond, listing on an enormous amount of films, including an Ocean's prequel directed by Bradley Cooper, a Weapons prequel titled Gladys, Gremlins, a Minecraft sequel, that's the actual name for it, yeah. Hello Kitty, Zach Cregger's The Flood, a Baz Luhrmann film, which I think is Joan of Arc, a Nancy Meyers film, Oh, the Places You'll Go, Game of Thrones, Aegon's Quest, and much, much more. One film I'm surprised they didn't talk about more, I don't really care about it, but the Godzilla X Kong film, because that comes out after CinemaCon, before CinemaCon next year. So I think it's interesting that they didn't talk about it, because it comes out March of 2027. Again, I don't really care too much for the MonsterVerse films, but I think it's interesting that they didn't really talk about that one. For all we know, they're going to talk about briefly next year. Who knows? That's it for Warner Brothers. Now we're going to talk about the one I think I was the most excited for going into CinemaCon, which is Universal's panel. Boy, do we have a lot to talk about with this one. Yeah, Universal Pictures and Focus Features. Got a lot to talk about with this one. Universal has obviously had a ton of directors working with them: Jordan Peele, the Daniels, Christopher Nolan, Steven Spielberg, and they were the first studio to make major releases available for streaming during COVID. They've now fully reversed course, heading to a minimum 5-week exclusive theatrical window for all 2026 releases, before moving to a 7-week exclusive run for 2027 releases. This went over extraordinarily well with the exhibitors in the crowd, who rely heavily on the exclusivity of their screens to stay afloat. Universal kept the momentum going as they unveiled the 2026 slate and beyond, showcasing all their heavy hitters. For the second year in a row before Universal took the stage at CinemaCon to unveil its upcoming slate, it presented the exhibitors with the convention's only film screening this year, a work-in-progress version of DreamWorks' animated film Forgotten Island. Even in its unfinished slate, the hilarious energy and powerful emotions came through strongly. It's a coming-of-age story with the friendships that shape us, and the magic of memory, as well as a dive into Filipino mythology. While we're quite a ways away from Forgotten Island's September 25th release date, it's one that should stay on your radar. This is from the directors who did Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, and when the trailer came out, I thought it looked a little bit generic. Like, it's these best friends, they're super best friends, then they drift apart. In the film, they have to bring back their friendship. But these reactions out of CinemaCon seem to be very positive. So hopefully this is a great film. We'll see. But the true opening of CinemaCon 2026 was Snoop Dogg, who took the stage to perform brief snippets of his biggest hits, all while announcing a new biopic to be made of his life. He said that after Straight Outta Compton, it was his turn to tell his story. He announced that Craig Brewer, fresh off of Song Sung Blue, would direct the film, and he sang a few bars of Sweet Caroline. Snoop then brought out the actor who will play him in the film, Jonathan Davis. They start filming this summer, and it'll hit theaters in 2027. That was the lone look ahead for Universal, which spent the remainder of its time focusing exclusively on films hit theaters this year. Could be interesting. Straight Outta Compton's one of the better received music biopics we've gotten recently. When does this come out? All I know is that it's 2027, so next year. And it's interesting that they announced the Snoop Dogg biopic. I wasn't really expecting that for the panel begun. I think it could be good. We'll see. It's from the director of Song Sung Blue. He also directed Hustle and Flow and Dolomite Is My Name. I feel like this one's going to be more in line with Hustle and Flow, which is also about a rapper, but it's a fictional rapper, I'm pretty sure, played by Terrence Howard. Yeah, this one could be good. Next up, my most anticipated film for this year, The Odyssey. Christopher Nolan was the first director to come out for Universal's presentation, who said he was just happy not to be following Spielberg. Setting up a teaser for The Odyssey, Nolan said that the story had fascinated audiences for thousands of years. It's not a story, it's the story, he said. Nolan praised his extensive cast, saying that Matt Damon, Anne Hathaway, and Tom Holland are the emotional core. He especially lauded Damon, describing him as a partner throughout his arduous journey to bring the story to the screen. He went on to describe the importance of shooting this on IMAX to bring all the spectacle to theaters, especially for premium formats. Thanking the exhibitors and the crowd, Nolan noted, "You are who we hand the film off to. You are the ones who are going to bring this film to our audience." His commitment to the theatrical experience is why this CinemaCon crowd can't get enough of his films. While he didn't bring much new footage, he showed us the Trojan horse sequence that has already played exclusively in theaters. I cannot wait for The Odyssey. I think it's going to be an amazing movie. Hits theaters July 17th of this year. 3 months from now, I just noticed. Yeah, I think this is gonna be awesome. Cannot wait to see the Odyssey. Oh, next, cinema, Minions and Monsters. In a surprising ode to movies, Illumination CEO Chris Meledandri came out to talk about Minions and Monsters. After a victory lap with Jack Black over the success of the Super Mario Galaxy movie, Meledandri praised Minions and Monsters in ways one wouldn't necessarily expect. He talked about the director and the voice of the Minions, Pierre Coffin, as an auteur who was meticulous with every frame. He showed us 2 extended sequences that highlighted the film's love for the early days of cinema in the 1920s, as the Minions crash land in Hollywood and become accidental stars. The clip featured odes to the great silent film stars, including Chaplin, Keaton, and Lloyd. It sounds a bit absurd, but it's actually exciting that young kids may get their first exposure to these icons of silent film when the movie hits theaters on July 1st. I was not expecting the new Minions movie to be a love letter to 1920 cinema. But that's actually super cool. I don't think we need to continue Despicable Me or Minions franchise anymore. The trailer didn't really have much of a story to it, but showing that it's a love letter to 1920 cinema makes me a little bit more interested in it. And it'll probably make a lot of money, and a lot of people will be exposed to what the 1920s Hollywood was like and the stars. Next up, we got first looks at a slew of new trailers. First, One Night Only, starring Callum Turner and Monica Barbaro. This is as if The Purge were a rom-com set in a world in which single people are only allowed to have sex on one specific day of each year. This leads everyone on a mad dash to find someone to hook up with before the day is through. It looked very silly, of course, but it's a great premise. Yeah, it sounds odd, but it could be fun. Yeah. It would be more interesting if this was a horror film, and if they don't find someone to, do it with, they die, Or no, the day after this would make a great horror film. The people who break the rule and decide to do it get murdered. Wouldn't that be interesting? But yeah, it sounds a bit absurd, but fun. Then we saw the trailer for Other Mommy, a horror film starring Jessica Chastain. She plays an entity who haunts a little girl by looking exactly like her mother, making the girl doubt who is who. It looked very creepy and over the top in the best way. Sounds interesting. Again, that's the word I can use to describe most of these is interesting, because I obviously haven't seen any of this footage yet. But it could be good. We'll see. Next, we have focus features. Then turning our attention to focus features, we saw the first trailer for Georgia Oakley's new adaptation of Jane Austen's Sense and Sensibility. Daisy Edgar-Jones, George Mackay, Katrina Balfe, Esme Creed Miles, Frank Delan, and others star in this new version of the classic romantic drama. It shot very well and looks sweeping and romantic as it should, though the trailer didn't seem to be offering much new after Ang Lee's beloved version of the story. Yeah, that's what I hear. I hear it looks very similar to the original film. But I hear it looks nice, I guess. So we'll see. Next, in a very different direction, with the much anticipated look at Robert Eggers' Werewolf. The footage was dark and disturbing, as you would expect. Brutal as it was, the trailer seemed to be hiding Aaron Taylor Johnson's full transformation into a werewolf, much as the marketing for Nosferatu hid the titular monster, which I think is great that they're hiding the monsters. But yeah, I heard Nosferatu was an amazing film. I unfortunately haven't seen it yet, but I'm going to have to when this movie comes out, December 25th, I'm pretty sure. Or Werewolf, December 25th. Oh yeah, and Sense and Sensibility is October 16th. And Werewolf, yeah, December 25th, Christmas Day. So yeah, Christmas, we're getting Jumanji, and we're getting a werewolf movie. Is it werewolf or werewolf? I'm going to say werewolf because it's not spelled like werewolf. And next we have Fokker-in-Law. Ben Stiller and Robert De Niro came out next to banter about their latest comedy, Father-in-Law. Stiller joked that he is the new De Niro of the franchise, since Ariana Grande is taking on the role of the new member joining the family. De Niro gave Stiller a hard time, saying that when he first starred in Meet the Parents, he had already starred in films like The Godfather Part 2 and The Deer Hunter, and that Ariana Grande is joining the series with an Oscar nomination under her belt. How many Oscar nominations do you have? De Niro prodded Stiller. Eventually, they introduced the first trailer, which seems like an upgrade from the last entry, Little Fockers. I did watch the trailer. I don't think it looks very good. I don't think it looks very funny, but hopefully the trailers are deceiving. But the jokes didn't really do much for me, unfortunately. But yeah, we'll see. Ooh, my second most anticipated film for the year, which is the last one they talked about, Disclosure Day. Finally arrived at the extended tribute to Steven Spielberg. The Motion Picture Association bestowed him with their MPA America 250 Award for representing American cinema to the world. Though the award title is a little silly, there's truly no one like Spielberg, who graciously accepted the award and sat for a chat about Disclosure Day with star Colin Domingo. As one would expect of Spielberg and a crowd of exhibitors, he restated his commitment to theatrical distribution and applauded Donna Langley for extending Universal's theatrical windows. Turning toward the film itself, much of their conversation revolved around Spielberg's reinvigorated curiosity about alien life. When he made Close Encounters, Spielberg said he called it science speculation. But with Disclosure Day, he's made it with a lot more certainty. He was inspired to dive back into the world of aliens after reading a 2017 New York Times article about the now famous Tic Tac UAP. Though he introduced a new extended trailer, Spielberg told the crowd that he wants to keep much of the sense of mystery around the film, especially with its third act. All I can say is that it's an experience. Yeah, they actually said that the entire third act of Disclosure Day is being kept out of the marketing, which I think is awesome. And it's really going to make the movie very surprising and unpredictable. Yeah, this is my second most anticipated movie of the year. I think the trailers look amazing. Emily Blunt, Josh O'Connor are in this, and it looks phenomenal. And then looks like Spielberg's finally going to cook again. No, not finally. He's been cooking. But he's probably going to cook again. I think the cinematography looks a little bit drab, but it still looks great, and the story looks very interesting. They didn't really talk much about 2027, aside from the Snoop Dogg movie, but yeah, they talked about. I think they have a really exciting slate this year, especially with my two most anticipated films here being from them. So yeah, I say it was probably a win. Next we have Amazon MGM. This is the one. I think I did this one. I was asleep for the entire thing because it was so late. But Amazon MGM. So they actually made their CinemaCon debut last year. And during that they showed their trailer for a little movie called Project Hail Mary. They took a big victory lap, bringing out Phil Lord, Chris Miller, and Ryan Gosling to celebrate the film's success and more to thank for support and making a true movie experience for us. What new movies did they talk about? M Studios' presentation around a bit between 2026 and 2027. Your audience with 2027's remake of the Thomas Crown Affair. John Batiste was on hand to play the film's themes on the piano and drum machine, crafting an elegant yet modern theme. I can't wait to hear the film. The movie's director and star, Michael B. Drinking, next alongside co-star Adria Arjona to tease the heist film. Jordan says he's been daydreaming here and solidified the story themes even more. The trailer we saw looks slick and really feels like Jordan's Mission Impossible. It teased a few big stunts and gorgeous camera work that make this feel like the Thomas Crown Affair will be a spectacle when it hits theaters in 2027. Do I have a date for this one? I'm checking on the release schedule for 2027. Um, so hold on, it froze again. Oh, never mind. Actually, no, I'm gonna try. I'm actually gonna try this time. Thomas Crown Affair comes out. Let me see if I can get a date for it. March 5th. Okay, March 5th. The Thomas Crown Affair. Sounds interesting. Sounds very good. And Michael B. Jordan seems to be on a career high right now. Obviously, he just won an Oscar for Sinners, which was a phenomenal performance. And now he's back in the director's chair, directing this movie. His first directorial film was Creed 3, actually, which was very good. So yeah, can't wait for that one. Next, Masters of the Universe. Actually, I haven't seen the most recent trailer, but I didn't really care for the first trailer. Excuse me. Next up, director Travis Knight hit the stage with He-Man himself, Nicholas Galitzine, and Camila Mendes to talk about Masters of the Universe. Knight talked about growing up loving the cartoon and said that beneath all the fingers, that's what he connected to and made him want to bring the series to life. Galitzine and the audience to whip out, and together they summoned the power, triggering a lightning strike and queuing up a look at the new trailer. While the first trailer felt a bit cartoonish and broad, this new look at Eternia and ruins as Adam returns to help save it from Skeletor featuring much stronger visual effects to the original series, but the new footage starts to win me over a bit. So hopefully with this new trailer, it wins me over too. Because the first trailer didn't really do much for me. Yeah, Master of the Universe comes out June 5th of this year. And, the next one is a fun one, Sheep Detectives. Froze again. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Masters of the Universe, the first trailer didn't really win me over too much, but hopefully when I watch the second trailer, it will win me over a little bit. Jared Leto's in it, though. His career's not really going great, but we'll see. Sorry, it's frozen again. Oh, back. Okay. Another family-friendly movie coming to theaters soon, May 8th, is The Sheep Detectives. Hugh Jackman and Nicholas Braun came out to talk about this hilarious murder mystery in which sheep, voiced by Julia Louis-Dreyfus and Bryan Cranston, among others, must solve the murder of their owner, played by Jackman. Jackman talked about how the film is loaded with humor for both children and adults. Written by Craig Mason, this looks like it might be just crazy enough to work. Comes out May 8th. Yeah, this movie looks really absurd, but it kind of looks fun in the same way. Yeah, I'm really interested about the Sheep Detectives, actually. Not sure if I'll actually see it, but it sounds fun. Bit absurd, but fun. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, Sheep Detectives comes out May 8th, which is Mother's Day weekend. Stream froze. Oh, never mind. It's back. Um, Next movie. Anarchy broke out as fake protesters and rioters ran around the auditorium, throwing bills into the crowd, all to support a look at David Leitch's How to Rob a Bank. Leitch and star Pete Davidson came out to talk about the movie's perfect timing. The trailer looks wild, showcasing huge action set pieces alongside the chaos of a YouTube video as a group of bank robbers live stream and teach others how to get away with it. Keeping the same energy as an early look at another brutal action film, A Cult Is My Passport, a remake of Takashi Nomura's 1967 film hailing from Gareth Evans. The trailer featured unbelievably cool action and visceral fights. Finally, Mahershala Ali and director Bassam Tariq arrive for a look at Your Mother, Your Mother, Your Mother, in which Ali finally gets to stretch his physicality as a man in Houston pushed to the brink. All three action films look wildly different from each other, but each offers something exciting on the big screen. Interested in all of them. I think all of them could be interesting. And Your Mother, Your Mother, Your Mother, and The Cult Is My Passport, I think, are 2027 films. No, I think when I try to look at the release dates, it's just gonna freeze up. Um, I'll look up the release date actually by myself. Hits theaters on September 4th. Yeah, September 4th, 2026. Okay, September 4th. I thought it was August, but no. Heading in a different direction, Amazon and GM Studios teased the newest Colin Hoover adaptation, but it is a distinctly different flavor than It Ends With Us and reminders of him. Michael Showalter directs this psychological thriller starring Anne Hathaway, Dakota Johnson, and Josh Hartnett. Hathaway plays Verity Crawford, a best-selling novelist in the middle of a fan-favorite series. When she is incapacitated, Johnson's character is brought in to ghostwrite the rest of her series. As she gets closer to Hartnett, strange things start happening around the house, threatening the whole situation. While the story looks overly familiar, it looks to be by far Showalter's most stylish film yet. The footage was dark and moody with a frightening tone. It lands in theaters on October 2nd. These Colin Hoover adaptations don't really do anything for me, like in terms of excitement or interest. Like, I just have no interest in them. But this one seems to be actually interesting. Probably not going to see it though, but maybe it could be an interesting movie. And then the next one's Spaceballs 2. Oh. In one of the more exciting moments of CinemaCon 2026, the cast of the newly titled Spaceballs, the new one, took to the stage to share more about the movie. Josh Gad, Bill Pullman, Louis Pullman, Daphne Zuniga, director Josh Greenbaum, and the long-awaited Rick Moranis were all there. Moranis received enormous cheers for his return, though we didn't hear much from him, as the entire presentation featured a running gag in which others cut him off and spoke for him whenever he opened his mouth. It was funnier than it sounds. The trailer sends up Hollywood and the endless mergers that made this new sequel possible, but also seems to capture the absurdist spirit of the original. But I was skeptical, but the trailer may have won me over. It's obviously Mel Brooks movie, sequel to Spaceballs. I think it's like a Star Wars parody. Getting quite a few parody movies, but this one comes out 2027. Let me look up the date real quick. I don't want to switch tabs. Spaceballs 2. It comes out April 23rd, 2027. Yeah, April 23rd. Sounds funny. Definitely interested. From the set of Highlander, which is still in production, we got a full behind-the-scenes featurette of their progress so far. Henry Cavill stars in the film from Chad Stahelski, who's director of the John Wick franchise, alongside Dave Bautista and Anna Sawai from Shogun. The footage so far looks essentially exactly like John Wick, for better or worse. Lots of neon and intense hand-to-hand choreography. Cavill, via video, noted that they still haven't filmed in Scotland or elsewhere, so perhaps that will give the series a different aesthetic, separating it from Stahelski's previous franchise. Still, the footage we saw looked pretty excellent. So it seems like it's very John Wick inspired, which makes sense because the director did the John Wick films. So it could be interesting, could be good. Yeah, we'll see. As far as Oscar contenders outside of Project Hail Mary go, Amazon MGM Studios only showed us a quick couple of glimpses of Andrew Garfield as Sam Altman and Luca Guadagnino's Artificial, so there's a chance it won't be ready in time for award season. Instead, Peter Farrelly, Anthony Ippolito, Anna Sophia Robb, Stefan James, and Kiki Seto arrive for a look at I Play Rocky. This biopic tells the story of Sylvester Stallone's battle to make and star in Rocky. The premise could easily flame out, especially in the hands of Peter Farrelly. Still, the trailer really demonstrated just how identical this cast is to their real-life counterparts, so that counts for something. The story has a lot of potential if they can put the right amount of heart into it. For now, I'm cautiously hopeful. Obviously, Peter Farrelly's directed a lot of comedy films. He directed Green Book. I Play Rocky comes out this year. I Play Rocky comes out on November 13th, and then expands on November 20th. So yeah, this sounds interesting. Sounds cool. Peter Farrelly, I know a lot of people don't like him because he did Green Book. He has also directed like the Dumb and Dumber films and stuff. but it could be good. I'm optimistic. And rumors have swirled for months now about James Bond, Amazon, and MGM's head of theatrical distribution, Cortene Valenti. Cut right to the chase. There's no news to announce yet. She emphasized that they want to take their time every decision on this vital franchise and don't want to rush casting for 007. Perhaps it's an encouraging sign for how seriously Amazon and MGM Studios is taking this opportunity, knowing that they could easily blow it at any moment. MGM is one of the most important studios in Hollywood, and thus far Amazon seems intent on maintaining the legacy. So yeah, seems like they have a lot of cool presentations with Amazon and GM actually. Next one, or second to last one, Paramount. So this is our second to last presentation. Obviously, Paramount's in a lot of hot water because they're trying to buy Warner Brothers, and they're likely going to have a merger. And more than 2,000 actors, directors, and producers signed onto a letter opposing the bid. David Ellison stepped out onto the CinemaCon stage, and the middling applause told the whole story because they don't exactly know how to feel. Ellison made some genuinely exciting promises: a 45-day exclusive theatrical window for every film, a SVOD availability after. Yeah, and they're making Rush Hour 4 loom because he wants it, but I digress. He also said that if the acquisition of Warner Brothers goes forward, he will commit to releasing no fewer than 30 films a year in theaters. For many studio heads, this would be a no-brainer, but as encouraging as those promises are, they come with an uncomfortable price tag, ineffable layoffs from consolidation, rising authoritarianism and censorship in news divisions, and President Trump's thumbs on the scales. Naturally, Ellison refrained from any comments in those directions. Paramount moved on, highlighting its upcoming slate, which is somewhat lackluster. Yeah, their slate doesn't seem too interesting, to be honest. Obviously, it's a shame like how much Trump's thumbs are involved with this, because obviously the Ellisons are very close with him. But yeah, this whole thing's really interesting. Yeah, what did they talk about for their slate? Before diving primarily into their 2026 films, the studio chiefs launched through brief mentions of a host of new projects, from officially announcing Top Gun 3, a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem sequel featuring Shredder, Sonic the Hedgehog 4, A Quiet Place Part 3, and an adaptation of Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow. Next, Oscar winners James Cameron and Billie Eilish took to the stage to showcase a look at Billie Eilish Hit Me Hard and Soft, the tour, live in 3D. Cameron discussed the new technology he and the team at Lightstorm developed, including a new 3D rig that had never been used before, even on the Avatar films, and an 800 millimeter lens. This lens allowed them to have breathtaking close-ups of Billie on stage, and used AI to re-render some of the backgrounds. The footage they showed certainly looked good, though not necessarily anything that seemed groundbreaking in the concert film space. Again, they just announced Top Gun 3. Can't wait for that. Can't wait for the Ninja Turtles sequel. The first one was awesome. Sonic 4 could be cool. I can't wait for A Quiet Place 3. So yeah, all their exciting stuff seems to all be sequels. Exciting. Hopefully they have some good originals coming up. Okay, first one we're talking about, Scary Movie. It's called Scary Movie. Kind of like how Scream 5 was called Scream. The recent Halloween was called Halloween. Marlon Wayans, Shawn Wayans, and Anna Faris came out to tease Scary Movie. They said they've heard that R-rated comedies don't do well in theaters anymore. F that, Faris declared. They believe, of course, that audiences will come out for the long gestating new entry in the franchise. Marlon took the opportunity to preemptively apologize to a whole host of people that I won't repeat here, but it was hilarious. The new trailer opened with a parody of all of Jordan Peele's movies and went wild from there. Much of the footage was already shown in the earlier trailer, but it looks like a reinvigoration of the series. Hopefully, audiences agree when it comes to theaters on June 5th. Yeah, this scary movie actually looks fun. I actually think the first trailer was really good. It looks funny. Seems like they're not pulling any punches. They're probably gonna be willing to offend everyone, which is cool for comedy. So yeah, I can't wait for a scary movie. It'll be interesting. Continuing on with Legacy franchise, if we can call it that, Johnny Knoxville took the stage to announce the title of the latest Jackass film, Jackass Best and Last. He said that because they knew this was the last film they would do, they went all out. The trailer shows that it might be true. A robot joins them for all the antics, and in the new film, and even gives Steve-O a prostate exam. The movie looks brutal and hard to extremely brutal and hard to watch, as it should, and also pretty nostalgic. It comes out June 26th. Probably be a lot of eyes coming out of sockets, balls being hit, but could be funny. Funny to see a lot of people get hurt. Yeah. Next we have Paw Patrol. On the animated front, we got a new look at Paw Patrol the Dino movie, in which the pups must save Dino Island from a volcano accidentally ignited by Mayor Humdinger as he tries to steal all the diamonds from the island. Paramount also announced that the Backstreet Boys will contribute original music to the film. I'm not the target audience for the Paw Patrol movies, obviously, so I don't really have much to say. Next, the first trailer for the Angry Birds movie 3, in which Red deals with fatherhood, having a teen and a baby. Both movies look fine, but it would be nice to see something original from Paramount Animation. Yeah. Interesting that they have Angry Birds movie 3 is coming out December, I'm pretty sure, this year. Let me look up the exact date, make sure I'm right. I think it's December 23rd, yeah, for Angry Birds. It's interesting. Sony had the first two, and now Paramount has this one. It's like with Smurfs, where Sony had it before, and now Paramount has it. Yeah, it would be nice to just see original anything from Paramount. Everything we've heard about so far is just sequels and legacy sequels and stuff. The massive cast for Street Fighter took the stage for a nostalgia-driven look at the film. Set in 1993, it's got a surprising amount of style. The cast leaned heavily into the bit, crowding around an old TV to try and watch the trailer, because 50 Cent kicked them off stage so the audience could see it from the set themselves. With both Mortal Kombat 2 and Street Fighter coming out this summer, this film seems to have a little bit more of an exciting edge. Street Fighter isn't this summer, actually. I think that's October. Let me check the date. October 16th is Street Fighter. Okay. I haven't seen the trailer yet. I gotta watch it. Ooh, yes, originals. Great. Everything we just talked about so far is just sequels. But now we got originals. We got to see the trailer for David Ayer's next film. Next movie also produced by Damien Chazelle. Damien Chazelle also has a prison movie coming out with Cillian Murphy and Daniel Craig. And this David Ayer movie is called The Heart of the Beast. This is an intense survival thriller in which Brad Pitt and his dog, old veterans of war with PTSD, crash land in the wilderness and fight to survive. We've seen plenty of these stories before, but this was shot well with plenty of grit and violence. Then, in a completely different direction, was a look at the true story of a football player fighting against all odds. Starring David Corenswet, Mr. Irrelevant, the John Tuggle story, tells Tuggles' story of being the last man selected in the draft, always dubbed Mr. Irrelevant, who gets a horrible diagnosis but continues to fight on. It looks like a really optimistic story of hope and perseverance, with a solid performance from Corenswet. Is this movie this year, Mr. Irrelevant, or is that 2027? I don't see it on the calendar at all, so it might be next year. Hold on. Oh no, this movie comes out Christmas. Okay, Christmas this year. Mr. Irrelevant. Alright, cool. That actually sounds like the most interesting thing out of this presentation. One small film that's likely to have a solid haul at the box office is K-pop Superstar the Movie. Shot on location, this movie follows a Korean-American girl who heads to Korea to compete on a TV show to become the next big K-pop superstar. It looked very fun and well-timed to capitalize on the explosion of K-pop in America. Yeah, obviously K-pop's having a huge moment. They also had last year with K-pop Demon Hunters and also with other groups. Like K-pop's really big in America, actually, and obviously around the world. This presentation was followed by an appearance from Johnny Depp, who will star as Scrooge in Ty West's Ebenezer: A Christmas Carol. The footage was solid with a few creepier than expected horror moments, but it otherwise didn't look much different from every other previous entry. So I'm assuming like every other Christmas Carol story. Yeah, it's interesting. Ty West is doing one, and then I think Robert Eggers is also doing another one. That one will probably be very dark, but we'll see. To wrap things up, Paramount hosted a huge African Christmas Carol. Oh, I forgot to mention the date for that one. Ty West Christmas Carol comes out November 13th. Okay. And to wrap things up, Paramount hosted a huge African dance group on stage with much of the cast of Children of Blood and Bone. From director Gina Prince Bythewood, who did The Woman King, this adaptation of the acclaimed fantasy novel stars Viola Davis, Chiwetel Ejiofor, Duso Mbedu, Tosin Cole, and many more. Idris Elba's in it, Cynthia Erivo's in it. The trailer looked huge and magical as a community who begins to experience magic powers will come under attack from their evil king. This could easily be a new franchise for Paramount if it lands well January 15th. And that's it for Paramount. Yeah, seems a little lackluster, but yeah, still seems to be a few gems in there. I think the Mr. Irrelevant film sounds interesting. And then we're saving, this is our final one presentation to talk about, Disney. Yeah, Disney. Got a lot to talk about with Disney, man. Obviously, because there's obviously Pixar, Marvel, Star Wars. Oh. All right. They dropped a lot of stuff, man. A lot. They have a new CEO now with Josh D'Amaro. Replaced Bob Iger back in March. And it started with Disney Entertainment Chairman Alan Bergman. Instead, Bergman called Disney the industry leader in theatrical windows with an average of 57 days of theatrical exclusivity in 2025. He noted that other studios have been calling for it's hard to argue with the results, and theater owners love this celebration. So the first thing we have to talk about is Star Wars, Mandalorian, and Grogu. Turning Disney's attention to the films themselves, Jon Favreau arrived on stage to deliver an extended look at The Mandalorian and Grogu. Favreau shouted out his team who helped bring the film to life, including Dave Filoni, who shot second unit for him. He also celebrated the craft praising ILM's visual effects and the stop motion animation they used for some creature effects. Favreau then introduced the first full 16 minutes of The Mandalorian and Grogu. The film opens with our titular duo infiltrating the hideout of Empire sympathizers, taking them out. In their escape, they run into 3 AT-ATs, leading to a big action sequence. The footage looked really solid, and the visual effects were excellent, though it's hard to imagine someone connecting with it without having watched the show at first. Still, it's always exciting to have a new Star Wars film in theaters. The Mandalorian Grogu comes out May 22nd. Everything I've seen of this movie so far, they did also release the final trailer. It looks okay. Like, I don't think it looks amazing. I don't think it looks really bad either, though. I think it just looks fine. Which is a shame because there was a time when people got so excited for Star Wars, but it seems like those days have kind of come and gone. And now people seem to be a little bit tired of Star Wars, especially with all the shows that have come out. A lot of them have been well received. Also, with the Rise of Skywalker, people didn't like that. So I think people are just tired of Star Wars, which is disappointing. I mean, Mandalorian and Grogu is trying to have the worst opening weekend for a Disney Star Wars movie right now. But we'll see how that goes. I kind of expect it to be on the same level, or around the same level as Solo. I don't think it's going to be a train wreck. I don't think it's necessarily going to be a classic either, though. Next up, Tom Hanks and Tim Allen took to the stage to promote Toy Story 5, journey of making Toy Story films. They remembered countless times when a parent would approach with a child, only for the child to refuse to believe they were talking to Woody or Buzz. After much joking around, they introduced 2 extended scenes from the film. The first saw Bonnie getting her lily pad tablet and immediately becoming addicted, leading Jessie to confront the tablet. It was reminiscent of the first Toy Story with Woody confronting Buzz. The second sequence saw Woody returning to Bonnie's house to help with their dilemma, while it will be tough to top Toy Story 3. Tackling technology in a student's life is the perfect extension of the characters. Yeah, I think so too. Before the first trailer came, this official trailer came out, I was really skeptical about a Toy Story 5. Like, do we really need a Toy Story 5? But I actually think this movie looks pretty good. I do expect it to be my least favorite of the 5, though, but we'll see. I think the toys versus tech premise sounds really interesting, though. I think that's a great way to bring these characters back. I heard Woody's gonna have a beer belly. The trailer already revealed he's gonna have a bald spot too. So it seems like him being out with Bo Peep has taken a little bit of a toll on him. But we still love Woody. I think it's funny how Bonnie's gonna be an iPad kid now, which is I actually think it's a cool way to bring these characters back after Toy Story 4. I do wonder how many more endings can we have of this franchise. I don't really think this is actually I don't have any confidence that this will be the last one after we've already had 2 false endings of this franchise. I do think it is cool how Jessie's going to be the main character though. And it's cool people who were kids when the first Toy Story came out are going to be able to take their own children to see this one and really pass that love of Toy Story on to them and keep the franchise full circle. I think that's a really cool thing. So yeah, I'm excited for Toy Story 5 to see how it turns out when it hits theaters June 19th. Next, the new original film. Disney highlighted 2 other animated films as well, 1 original and 1 new entry in a long-running franchise. First, from Disney Animation Studios, we got a first look at a scene from Hexed. We didn't get much context for the scene we saw, but it was intriguing nonetheless. A girl named Billy, played by Haley Steinfeld, fell into some sort of cavern and encountered a talking book and a quill. They quiz her about her magical experiences, apparently testing to see if she's a witch. They conclude that she does have magical powers and open up a portal, welcoming her to Hexed. It wasn't clear if that was a world or a school or something else entirely, but the animation looked engaging and cute. It seems like an original fairy tale, which could be an exciting direction and much better than 2023's Wish. It does seem to be a little bit Wish inspired, I guess. I hope it's good. Hopefully. But we'll see. But yeah, Haley Steinfeld stars in this one, and Rashida Jones is also in it. I think she voices Billy's mother. And then for the first time since Disney acquired 20th Century Fox, a new Ice Age film is coming to theaters. Ray Romano, Dennis Leary, and Queen Latifah all arrived on stage, noting it was their first time all together in several years. Ice Age Boiling Point teased a funny sequence with Scrat and the new baby Scrat working with acorns. When Scrat accidentally triggers a volcano, the film looks exactly like the previous Ice Age films, better or worse. Probably for worse, because the last few Ice Age movies were terrible. This one comes out February 5th. And then Hex comes out November 25th. Yeah, November 25th. Thanksgiving. The Wednesday before Thanksgiving. Yeah, the last few Ice Age movies have been garbage. I don't know why they're continuing with this franchise. I feel like I don't really have much hope for this one, to be honest. Oh, next we have something I have even less hope for. Moana. Heading only slightly away from the animation world, Dwayne Johnson and Catherine Lagaya arrived to promote the live-action remake of Moana. Yay. Johnson explained how personal the series is to him and the character of Maui specifically, because so much of him was inspired by his grandfather, High Chief Peter Malvia. Further, he praised Catherine for taking on such a big, challenging role and told the audience that just earlier today, she had completed her first ever interview, not just for the role, but for any role yet. The pair introduced a new extended trailer giving us glimpses of new verses for songs like Where You Are and Maui singing You're Welcome. While the trailer didn't overcome the hesitancy many have with this remake, it should satisfy those fans who have clamored for it. I think this Moana remake looks terrible. I think it looks so ugly. Like, the CGI looks terrible. The green screen looks awful. And it seems like 90% of this movie is going to be CGI and green screen. So yeah, not excited for this one at all. Yeah. And look at The Rock. He looks ridiculous with that long hair. My God. It looks like the exact same movie as the first Moana, of the original. And like, the kids who watched Moana as children, they're not old enough to like pass it on to their own children yet. They may not even have their own children yet. So I just don't understand why you can this movie. But it's gonna make $1 billion. It's gonna make a lot of money. The first Moana is very popular, and even the second Moana, that I hear no one's now, that made $1 billion. Disney didn't forget about adult fare in their presentation, either in addition to highlighting a scene from the upcoming Devil Wears Prada 2. We got first looks at the Dog Stars, Wild Horse 9, and Whale Fall. Devil Wears Prada 2, I don't really have many expectations for. I didn't see the first one. Not the target audience for it whatsoever. But I have family who's really excited for it, so I think the fans of the Devil Wears Prada, hopefully they're satisfied with the sequel. Now we're going to talk about Dog Stars. Oh, which got a trailer. Directed by Ridley Scott, The Dog Stars follows Jacob Elordi, Margaret Qualley, and Josh Brolin in the wake of a deadly pandemic, living in a small community. Elordi's character wants to leave and search for more survivors. The trailer has already been released online, but it looks intriguing. Yeah, it does. I watched the trailer. I think it looks okay. I don't really think it looks like anything too groundbreaking, but I don't think it looks like absolutely horrible either. Yeah, it looks intriguing, if a little bland. Yeah, it looks a little like stuff I've seen before, you know? It looks okay. Martin McDonagh's Wild Horse 9 is sure to be a hit with the Academy, and we got a look at an extended scene featuring John Malkovich and Sam Rockwell. Malkovich is playing a surly, overly talkative CIA officer who just can't stop blabbling about the coup he's helping with. Yeah, I cannot wait for Wild Horse 9. I thought the first trailer was really good. Obviously expecting us to be a huge awards contender. I'll talk about it more when I do my Oscar predictions in June. My first one's on YouTube. Yeah, I expect this to be a big deal with the Academy. Finally, Whale Fall brought the house down. This book adaptation, directed by Brian Duffield, follows a scuba diver, Austin Abrams, who was swallowed by a sperm whale, leaving him with an hour to escape before his oxygen runs out. You saw the sequence in which he's swallowed, and it's unbelievably tense and dialogue-free, of course. It's Gravity, but underwater. Whalefall instantly leaped up on my list of most anticipated films for the rest of the year, and it does sound really interesting. By the way, for release dates, The Dog Stars comes out August 28th. Wild Horse 9 comes out November 6th. Yeah, November 6th. And I think Whalefall comes out on October 16th. Yeah, October 16th is when Whalefall comes out. So yeah, all of those sound really cool. And then, of course, we have the final thing, Marvel. And finally, of course, Marvel Studios had to bring something from Avengers Doomsday, which is theaters December 18th, same day as Doom 3. First, Kevin Feige, Anthony Russo, and Joe Russo came to the stage to introduce a new concept called Infinity Vision. It sounded like a joke, but it's a real effort they are introducing. This process will certify premium, large format theaters, allowing fans to identify which theaters they want to see Marvel films in. Their dialogue was vague and unclear, but I'm sure this has everything to do with Dune Part 3 taking their IMAX screens away for December 18th. Following that announcement, Robert Downey Jr. and Chris Evans all made their way to the stage to introduce the trailer of Doom. In the trailer, narrated by Doom, you see all the different universes coming together. Avengers meeting the new Avengers, or the Thunderbolts, the Fantastic Four meeting the Wakandans, the X-Men meeting, well, everyone. We also saw Doom stop Thor's axe with just 2 fingers. There's so much going on with nearly every character you can imagine, but the CinemaCon crowd ate it up. So much so that they shouted out and demanded they show the trailer a second time. Feige obliged, wrapping up Disney CinemaCon 2026 presentation by showing the trailer one last time. Avengers Doomsday is a movie I'm both excited and skeptical about. I think there's a lot to be excited for. Obviously, having the new X-Men there, you're gonna have all these characters teaming up, and it seems like we're finally getting peak Thor back, which sounds awesome. But there was a lot to be skeptical about as well. I mean, we haven't seen a lot of these characters for a while. A lot of these other characters have only had one other appearance in the multiverse saga. I feel like the whole multiverse saga as a whole has been very bloated, very crowded, lots of characters. And a lot of them haven't really been as developed as they could be. So, and this movie has to do a lot of work. You have to bring all these characters together. So, like, I think it'll be a miracle actually if they actually pull it off well. But hopefully they do. And I also feel like a lot of the stuff they're doing with this movie feels like, I guess, desperate, or like they're trying to like go back to the glory days of the MCU. They think like audiences don't like all these new characters that we're introducing in the multiverse saga. Let's just bring back Robert Downey Jr. and Chris Evans and the X-Men and the Russo brothers. It's like the Thanos quote from Endgame, where it's like, you cannot live with your own failure. Where did that bring you back to me? Like, I think that's exactly what it's like. But hopefully, like, it doesn't all come off as pandering. Hopefully it comes off as good. Hopefully it all ends up well. Hopefully all this stuff, it doesn't come off as pandering, but it comes off as earned. Hopefully. I still have hope for this movie. I'm just a little bit skeptical for it. They didn't really talk about much of their 2027 stuff. They only briefly mentioned Pixar's Gato coming in March of 2027. And Star Wars Starfighter, which also is coming 2027. So yeah, that's CinemaCon of 2026. A lot of cool presentations, a lot of cool announcements, some a little more underwhelming. I think as a whole, it's a little bit more underwhelming compared to last year. I mean, last year I think had a lot more cooler stuff. But there were still moments. Still the moments that got the crowd excited, I'm pretty sure. So yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say for CinemaCon. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.